I'm in the middle of revisions right now, which means I've been reading. This is how I read. It's super effective. Which means I've been reading through my past notes from my lectures from this semester. And before I say anything else, I want to point out that most of the time my notes are super helpful and I actually write down things that are important from my lectures and I don't just doodle, although sometimes I doodle a lot. While I was looking through these notes, I did find a few gems that showed how special notes can be. The first one is just parentheses 2001 Space Odyssey ... 30 ghosts for every man, end parentheses. Alright, I have never seen 2001 Space Odyssey. I don't know what sort of reference I was trying to make, but I tried, I guess. The next one is a little bit later on in my notebook, and it says art picture, and then I drew a little arrow, and then it says dead baby on top of skulls. Yep, I thought it was really pertinent to write down that because it might help me during the exam. I don't know why I wrote that down. And then this one part of my notes, oh, I should have said this before. This module was for our class on death and dying, that's why it talks about ghosts and dead babies. But anyway, in this one section of my notes, under Last Wills and Testaments, it just says, Charles Dickens wrote about this. What did he write about it? In what book? I don't know. I don't know what I was talking about, and I guess I didn't find the context of it that important to write down, because that's all I said. This next one is funny, but also disturbing. So in one section we talked about diseases, and we talked about VD, and in that section of my notes I just have written down gross stuff on this slide, and then drew an arrow, and then apparently I thought that they could cure their VDs by having sex with a minor. And I still find that really gross, but you know, I'm glad I took the time out of lecture to write that little note for myself. Then we talked about moralizing the dead, and we had this case study of Sir Digby, whose wife had died, and he had a lot of portraits done of her, and he also had her hands, feet, and face casted after her death. And I, in the margins, wrote this really helpful note to myself. Creepy Dorian Gray portrait, trying to preserve dead wife as she was when she died, forever. Thanks, past me. That was super helpful for my revising. How could I revise for Death, Dying, and the Dead without knowing your snarky little comments about Sir Digby? Happy studying.